Okay, in this tutorial, I will tell you how to make the sound louder, and along the way, I will explain a concept called the Loudness Wall. So before we start, we need to get the tools. The tools I can recommend is called Audacity. Audacity. It's a cross-platform tool, and it's free of charge. So it's ideal for most people. If you got more fancy tools, which is better, but this is the same we can all use. And since it's cross-platform, you can use it on Windows, Mac, Linux. Somebody says this is being bought by a company, so they are start to collecting user data, which is not very open anymore, but still this is the best tool I can find, so use with caution. Okay, since I already installed, so I will open Audacity. And this is the tool we will use. And for the sound example, since I'm working on those Denki Bonku character, so I pick one character. It's called Amiyusa. Okay, so this is one of her sound. So let's have a lesson first.
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの?
So you hear the sound, and you also see the sound. This is the wave of the sound. Okay, so if we zoom in, this is the wave. And there's a concept you have to know is we are living so-called analog domain. So when you having a speaker, you probably have a volume knob. You can turn the volume knob up or down, right? So normally, whenever you turn this knob, for example, if here I have a slide knob, I can turn this knob up or down. Even I turn to maximum, the sound will not distort heavily. It will have some kind of distortion, but by theory, if you turn this knob up to the top, it shall not distort. It means the distortion means, look at this wave, the shape of this wave. For example, here is low, here is high, here is low, and here is high. This shape or relationship is maintained. So if the relationship is maintained, that means the sound is not distorted. But the sound that you hear, you see here is not in analog domain. Okay, here is in digital domain. So the difference is digital domain have a ceiling. So here is the ceiling, and the ceiling, the up ceiling and the down ceiling is called 0 dB. So anything above the 0 dB will be gone forever. That means if I make the sound louder, okay, make the sound louder, you will see the shape is gone. So you see the shape here become flat. Here become flat to will not exceed the 0 dB. Okay, and the sound will sound not so good. Let's have a lesson.
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの?
Right, so it sounds distorted.
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの?
And another thing I want to mention is something called the Loudness Wall. If you have two recordings or two characters, one character is relatively louder, and another character is relatively weaker. And if the louder character is not too extreme distorted, the distortion is not too bad, and people will perceive the louder character or louder recording or louder album as sounds better. And this is very unfortunate. The human perception is like that. Human perception doesn't like perfect recording. Human perception like louder sound. Okay, so that's why there's something called Loudness Wars. Basically, the recording engineer try to make their recording louder, 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 and louder by distorting the recording, just like previous one. But they will not distort like that. They'll have some kind of distortion and make the sound louder, and this is called Loudness Wall. And this is not very good. But in some cases, you have to fight the Loudness War, because once one guy make their recording character louder, and most people will perceive that character is better, and the blame will go to the weaker character. And so you have to fight this Loudness War. And why you are here to see this tutorial. Okay, now I done the explanation, and I will tell you how to fight this Loudness War. And actually, I don't want to fight. This is the best recording. You see, the perfect recording is the weaker part is the shape is being kept, and the louder part of the shape is being kept, and the highest peak almost reaching 0 dB, and this is called a good dynamic. So if the dynamic is bad, it means the weaker part is higher and the louder part is lower, something like that. Or the weaker part and the louder part cannot distinguish themselves. This is called a bad dynamic. And but unfortunately, human perception like this bad dynamic. Okay, so in order to make this louder, you just select it, go to Effect, Amplify. So if the default setting is like this, okay, amplify 0 dB means not amplify anything. So if I do it 3 dB, it means 1 times louder. If I do it 6 dB, 2 times louder. Okay, and 9 dB, 3 times louder, and 12 dB, 4 times louder. So I will do it 4 times louder, which is 12 dB. But you see the OK is grayed out because the default setting doesn't allow you to distort the waveform. Okay, so which is good. But you want it louder, so let's distort this form. Let's remember here, right? Remember here the shape, and after I click OK, the shape is like that. You see, this part is being flattened. It's like you using a scissor to cut here and make it bigger, so it's distorted.
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの?
And you don't want this lower quality sound, right? But you still want louder. And how to do it? And so we have a technique called a compression, I should say, compression. So let me revert back. So what is compression? Compression is, instead of you cut here as a flat, so you don't cut as a flat. It's kind of like you still want to cut, but you try to maintain this shape. Try to maintain the shape as possible as you can. Okay, so basically, compression is leave the weaker sound and make this louder sound weaker. Make the louder sound weaker, but try to maintain the shape. Okay. So how to do it? We can select the track, effects, compressor. Okay, the compressor. So here is my parameters. So the compressor will start to work at minus 12 dB. Minus 12 dB is somewhere here, I believe, somewhere here. So the compression ratio is 6:1. This is my setting. You can take it or you can have a different setting. It's up to you. And here, both box is unchecked. Okay. Okay. And then you see the louder sound become weaker. And then the weaker sound actually is also touch the button, not compressed very much. The bigger the sound, the more the compression it is. Okay. And let's select this compressed sound again and amplify it 12 dB. Maybe you see this still looks like been cut, but it will sound better.
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの？
Maybe you are not very sensitive to it, so I can make a compare. Okay, I will duplicate this track. Duplicate this track. Okay. The first track I will just make it louder. Oh no, I will do another track. So the first track I will leave it as original. The second track I will just boost it, amplify it 12 dB. 12 dB. Heavily distorted. And the third one we will compress first. Compressor, apply, and amplify 12 dB. Okay. So you will see the difference and you will hear the difference. So this is original.
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの？
Heavily distorted.
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの？
And not so heavily distorted, but still distorted.
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの？
Right?
本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの？本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの？本当にこいつが黒の剣士なの？
Right? This is the difference. And you see the shape is being maintained. Somewhat maintained here, right? So this is my suggestion. You can using this kind of way to increase the volumes of a recording of voice by using compressor and amplify. Okay, this is it. See you in next tutorial.